Hey, how you doing?
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
All right, who did this? I'm not mad. I just want to know who did it so I can punish them.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Oh, welcome to mi casa. That's French for front door.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
It is the Al Travis Show, and we love having our next guest on. He's American Experiment's president. He's John Hinderaker. I don't know if you heard when we were going into the break, sir, I mentioned that you guys are in the middle of all this, and I don't mean that in any kind of way that you're in trouble. I don't think this comes out if it's not for your organization. This should be a very large story, and I don't think it goes anywhere if you guys hadn't found it. Thanks for coming on, John.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Al.
The story I'm talking about is last week we were talking about, you and I, that there was this 54-minute tape of Attorney General Ellison talking to some folks who ended up being some of the bad apples in this Feeding Our Futures debacle. And we'll get into what that showed. But what I thought was so interesting, and I don't know if you just flippantly threw it out there, is that this was a tape that was literally in the Feeding Our Futures lawsuit. One of the players had it. It was just listed on a list of items that could be thrown into the case. It never did. So this is why I'm telling you, no one would have got it except one of your people. I presume it's Glom. That guy's crazy. He sees it and goes, what's that tape about? And he goes and gets it and finds out what it's all about. If it wasn't for your organization, sir, this tape dies in a box someplace in a court case, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was on the exhibit list.
There you go.
It was on Amy Bach's exhibit list in her Feeding Our Future trial, but it did not get entered into evidence. So Bill Glahn got a hold of it. And the Star Tribune actually had that tape before we did.
I didn't read about it.
Yeah, they had the tape. Well, you wouldn't have.
I didn't read about it.
They did not want to run a story on it. They really didn't. They finally ran a story on it after we made the tape public. We didn't just write about it. We put it out.
Yep.
54 minutes. Anybody that wants to listen to it can listen to it. You know, it's there. You can draw your own conclusions. So the Star Tribune waited, until we had put it out and until I think all of the local TV stations had done stories. Yep. And the Star Tribune then finally grudgingly did a story.
By the way. But let me ask you this, and again, this is speculation a little bit, so if I get you in a spot, I'm sorry. So Amy Bach, the head of the Feeding Our Futures people, she's the head dog. She and her lawyers believe somehow this would help them, right? That's why you put it on your list. If we have to, we're going to spring this tape on them. What is bust it down for those that don't want to spend 54 minutes. Bust down what does the tape show, and why was it good for Amy, or was it not good for Amy? That's why it didn't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Well, very briefly, the tape is 54 minutes long, and one of the participants in a meeting, which was in Ellison's office or a conference room, near Ellison's office, state office building, one of the participants taped it. And so you hear at the beginning, some introductions are being made, and there's 5 or 6 people there who are associated in some way with Feeding Our Future and the Feeding Our Future scandal. One of them was recently convicted on 21 counts in the second Feeding Our Future trial. Another one is scheduled to go to trial before long. And the substance of the meeting is they are complaining to Keith Ellison that the Minnesota Department of Education is racist and is discriminating against them by trying to cut off their payments, their funding, which of course we all know now was fraudulent. I mean, the Department of Education was right. They were late, and it was kind of a half-baked effort, but they were right to at least try. This is in December of 2021 when this meeting happens. And so Keith Ellison responds very sympathetically. He says, "I've not heard about this before. This is my first awareness of this whole situation. But I will look into it on your behalf. I will make some phone calls. I'll call, the Department of Education." He talks about how in past instances he's called other state agencies on behalf of supplicants, and he agrees with them when they say, this is a racist agency discriminating against us, East Africans. He agrees with that. And at one point he says, let's fight this together.
Okay.
Let's fight together this effort by the Department of Education to cut off your funding. Well, 9 days after that meeting, there's a fundraiser. And this is after the election, by the way, after the 2020 election. This would be in December
22.
2021. And there's a fundraiser, and some of the people who are at this meeting, associated with the Feeding Our Future scandal, write checks to Keith Ellison and also to his son, who is a member of the Minneapolis City Council. And 5 weeks after this meeting that Keith Ellison has with the Feeding Our Future folks, the FBI carries out their famous raids on Feeding Our Future and some other entities, some restaurants, sites, et cetera. And the whole scandal breaks wide open. So that's basically what's on the tape. It's these people coming to Keith Ellison, accusing the Department of Education of being racist, asking him to intervene on their behalf. And Ellison basically agreeing with them and saying that he would make some calls and saying things like, let's fight this together. And of course, one of the reasons why this is of interest is that after the scandal broke, I don't remember the exact date on it, but after the scandal broke, Keith Ellison put out a press release and he said that my staff and I fought for 2 years to hold Feeding Our Future accountable. Right. Yeah. Well, that's a lie. That's a complete lie. 5 weeks before the FBI raid, far from fighting to hold Feeding Our Future accountable, he was meeting with some of their leaders and vowing to take action on their behalf. Whether we did or not, we don't know. We don't know what followed that meeting, other than the fact we know that he got political contributions.
Well, this is interesting for me on the other side of this, how this started. So if you're saying in December, the Feeding Our Futures rascals are in there talking to the AG saying the Department of Education is being racist. They want to cut back on our money that we're getting. The Department of Education in December then had realized, or at least felt, there was something fishy going on. I was under the impression the feds are the ones who told the Department of Education something was wrong. The Department of Education didn't do it themselves. So when did the Department of Ed come in? Before December, obviously. And if the federal government is in talking to one of the Department of Education or one of our departments, wouldn't the secretary, the AG, be in on those meetings? If you're the head of the Department of Education, the feds come to your office, you don't call the head lawyer and say you want to be working on my side. He had to know about it by then. Don't you?
Well, he knew about it. There's no question about that. In his recent statement, what was it, last week? He repeated the claim that this meeting in December was his first knowledge of the whole fight that was going on between the Department of Education and Feeding Our Future. Well, there's a second recording that we've now released.
That's what I want to get to. Yeah, so you have another. Now, I want to go to break early because this is why I say you guys, if it wasn't for the American experiment, I don't think this goes anywhere. I don't know where it goes now, but there's a second tape. Every week we get on, John's bringing a tape. There's a second tape I want to talk about on the other side of the break. Can we do that?
It sounds good.
John Hinderaker with the American Experiment on the Al Travis Show.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Dust from gravel roads and driveways does more than make your car dirty inside and out. It gets down into your lungs, and it's bad for your health. Now there's an environmentally friendly solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control all your summer dust problems with just one application. Protect your vehicle and your lungs. Learn more at dustlock.com.
It's nice to know a guy that knows a guy. Al Travis.
John Hinderaker, president of the American Experiment. John, this group, and I presume was somebody from the Feeding Our Futures group, had that first tape, the 54 minutes. This is the same group that, well, part of them had a gal want to bribe a juror, and it was supposed to took $250,000, but took $130 for herself, and then only left $120 or so on the porch. These guys run around with tape recorders all the time. They got spy glasses with recorders in it. You found a second tape, and I'm thinking to myself, I just don't know if I've ever taped anything, any meeting I've had. It seems straight, no honor among thieves, no one trusts anybody. You tell me, what's this second tape? This is amazing to me. Another tape is out.
Well, the second tape was made, it's a short tape. It's only about a minute long, and it was made in June of 2021. And Keith Ellison was talking with a couple of people. One of them is one of the same people that were in that December meeting that we have the longer tape from. And they're talking about the lawsuit in which Feeding Our Future is suing the Minnesota Department of Education. And they talk about a contempt order that was entered by the judge in that case. So when we were given the tape, we were told it was made in June of 2021, and that is when that order was entered by the court, June of 2021. Okay. And so they're talking about that order in particular in that case. So when Keith Ellison said in December of 2021, in the long meeting that he had with these Feeding Our Future people, that this is the first I've heard about this battle you're having with the Department of Education, that was not true. That was not true. He was talking about it in June. And I believe he repeated that statement in the statement the public statement that he made last week. I think he again said that meeting, he didn't know anything about it. That meeting was the first time he'd heard of the whole issue. And of course, that just isn't true. He's talking about it in June of 2021. Now, if Bill Glahn, I think, would know any information that's in the public domain, and he would know any date information that is out there. At some point, there was some communication between the state of Minnesota, the Department of Education, and the FBI. But I just don't remember exactly when that took place.
Speculate for me here, John. What happens with this information? I presume guys at the AG's office, the governor's office, they're meeting people 25 a day, coming in and whining about something and said, I'll look into it. Don't worry. I got your back on this. I mean, I presume that's what the AG does 24/7. Now, again, this is something he probably should have known about and been a part of. What happens from here? Other than his credibility getting tarnished, what happens because of this?
Well, I guess we'll find out, Al. I don't know whether there are any shoes left to drop or not. Personally, I think it's rather shocking. The Attorney General's office represents all of these state agencies. They are the lawyers that advise the state agencies, and somebody in Keith Ellison's office was representing the Department of Education in the lawsuit that these people are complaining about. And so rather than sticking up for his client, the Department of Education, which when Assistant Attorney General is actively representing adverse, to these people at that moment in some pretty bitter litigation, instead of sticking up for the state agency, Keith Ellison happily joins in with their claim that this agency is racist and is unfairly persecuting Feeding Our Future, and says he's going to look into it and let's fight this together. I think that's rather shocking. And, will the voters think it's shocking? I think that a lot depends on whether Keith Ellison runs for further public office. If he does, I'm sure that this is a topic that's going to be discussed.
All right. One other time before I let you go here today, and maybe it's more of a broadly swept deal. Between this Ellison thing, who knew what, why, and when, Senator Bobby Joe Champion, the president of the Senate, and on the ethics committee, he has to step down from the ethics committee, or he does it on his own, give him credit for that, steps down because maybe he should have let everybody know that he worked pro bono for a group that he got $3 million for. Here's my problem. They had all three legs of the stool. They could have got that money to that group no matter what. Senator Champion could have raised his hand. By the way, I did some pro bono work for this group. Still think it's a good group. Why don't you all vote on it? It still would have passed. Why put yourself in that problem? Or is there just this lackadaisical attitude up at the Capitol that we just don't need you to tell you our business.
Yeah, I really don't know, Al. I mean, ethics standards in St. Paul on matters like this, I think, tend to be pretty high. Bill Walsh, our communications director, wrote about this in the Capitol Watch email that came out Sunday night. I'm sure you get those, and our listeners all should get them. It's the most knowledgeable report on what's happening in the Capitol that you're going to see anywhere. And he talks about this, the history of some of these ethics issues, and there was a kind of an ethics cleanup that happened back in the late 1990s after there had been some issues. So in general, I don't think you see a lot of this kind of problem over at the Capitol nowadays.
All right, fair enough. I want to before
you see some other kinds of problems, but not so much this kind.
All right, and that's fair enough. Power to Choose. You've got a big deal going on, upcoming events. I want people to know about it. This is the Mankato area coming up a week from today. Is that right?
Yeah, a week from today, the 24th. Yeah, that's right. And this is kind of an expo. So we're sponsoring the event, but we invited 12 or 15 exhibitors, and including I think the Mankato Public Schools are going to participate as an exhibitor. But it's an opportunity for parents to come and learn about educational alternatives for their kids that are available in the Mankato area.
And can we ask, where's that going to be? Because weren't you booted or something? Somebody booted you from somebody. I can't keep up with all your controversy.
It was going to be at the Mankato YMCA. And apparently a couple of people complained they didn't like the fact that we were being hosted there. And the Mankato YMCA canceled that event. And so we have moved it to the Country Inn and Suites Hotel and Conference Center on Premier Drive. That's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 a week from today, April 24, the Power to Choose Education Expo.
All right. And one more thing we have to talk about, because I don't know if he's on television more on my X feed now, or if I notice him because I know he's coming to do your event. But this cat yesterday was on my X feed, I want to say 4 times. Your annual dinner gala with Scott Jennings is going to be off the charts. It's probably sold out by now. I don't even know, because this guy is absolutely famous.
Go to AmericanExperiment.org, click on the events tab. You can read all about it and order tickets. They're selling well, but we got plenty left. It's not until May 17th, but it is going to be a very fun event. I mean, Scott Jennings typifies what's happening in the news media now. So he'll be on a CNN program. It's always him against 2 or 3 liberals, and there'll be an exchange. And I don't know, maybe 50,000 people watch. I don't know what the ratings are, but however many watch it on CNN. But the next day, 1 million people watch it on X or on Facebook or on YouTube. It's really interesting how that is all developed.
What you got to do is find a couple of really strong liberals to put on stage with him, have them do their little thing, and then have him rip them a new one. So you set up your own X thing that'll go viral the next day, because that's all this guy does. That's what you got to do.
We've got some ideas about that, Al. People should come to this event May 17th. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
John, always a pleasure to have you on. Like you say, you guys are in the thick of it. You're out there finding the stuff others aren't even looking for. AmericanExperiment.org. Go there today, sign up for the newsletter, go there and take a look at the events going on, sign up for that as well. Love having you on, my friend. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Al.
He is John Hinderaker with the American Experiment.